Hello everyone. In this session, we're going to talk about how do we install Enterprise 360 and what are all the solution components of Enterprise 360. Before you attempt to install Enterprise 360, let's take a look at what are all the solution components of Enterprise 360. The Enterprise 360 software comprises of three different components: the Enterprise 360 application software itself, and the sensors, which are the data sensors. There are two types of data sensors. The first one is called as NetSense, and the second one is called as InfraSense. NetSense is a network monitoring and cyber threat monitoring sensor, which does real-time data collection across various kinds of networking devices. InfraSense is an infrastructure monitoring sensor and does dedicated application and infrastructure monitoring across various kinds of systems and applications and infrastructure in your IT environment. All the solution components work with each other to fully make up for the Enterprise 360 Unified AOps Observability Solution platform. In production environments, all these softwares are deployed on dedicated virtual machines in separate systems, and they are on dedicated systems doing their respective jobs. In POC and trial environments, you can install all these software components in one single machine as well. So we're going to focus on automated installation, where you're going to install Enterprise 360 and all its solution components in one single machine in this session. And before you begin to do the installation, we need to look at what are all the specifications which you need. You need at the minimum a virtual machine, and the specifications required for the virtual machine is 4 CPU RAM, 16 GB memory, and a minimum of around 200 plus GB hard drive. We recommend SSD based hard drive systems, but it's not mandatory. You also need one virtual NIC on the virtual machine as well. The operating system requirement for Enterprise 360 is a Ubuntu Linux 2204 server class operating system. You cannot directly download this operating system from the internet. Please use the link below in the slide presented to download the operating system. And you have to download that ISO file, and you have to install the virtual machine with that operating system. Enterprise 360 is a Linux-based operating system-based application, and all the solution components of Enterprise 360 works on Ubuntu Linux 2204 server class operating system. So once you install and bring up the virtual machine, you're ready to install the software. In this session, we're going to take you across all-in-one installation, wherein we will suggest the steps related to automated installation, wherein you can install all the solution components in one single virtual machine and get it up and running in a short amount of time. And the first thing which you would actually need in order to install Enterprise 360 is a script. It's called as a shell script, which will download all the relevant softwares, and it will install everything on its own with a minimal set of questions. And we're going to illustrate all-in-one installation in this session. Before you proceed with the installation, make sure that you have the virtual machine up and ready. Since it's a Linux-based operating system, you should have at least one of the mechanisms to access the shell access of the Linux operating system is using an application the like of Putty or any other systems or application which you might like. You can use any application software to do shell access to the Linux operating system, and you can begin the installation. All right, so let's get started. And the first thing what you would actually need is the link to download the shell script for installer. The shell script link looks something like this. You might have received the shell script from various sources, from our partners or from our technical team. This link is the link which will download the shell script directly from the repo server. And you can use this link to download and begin the installation. One very important factor before you attempt to begin the installation of Enterprise 360 is to make sure that the virtual machine has internet connectivity. Make sure it has the internet connectivity, because during the installation of the software, all the dependent libraries and everything gets installed automatically. So internet connectivity is mandatory during the installation of Enterprise 360. If you do not have enterprise internet connectivity, you cannot install Enterprise 360. And it is advised that you have to open up the internet connectivity during the installation period. But post installation, you can turn off internet connectivity. For the operation of Enterprise 360, you do not need internet connectivity, and it is needed only during the time of installation. All right, let's get started. We are assuming that you have the virtual machine up and ready with the operating system, and you're logging in for the first time. And we're going to show you steps of how do you install Enterprise 360 from that point onwards. All right, so we're going to use one of the applications here called as Mobaton for doing the SSH to the Linux machine. Alternatively, we can use any other type of software, the likes of Putty, which is very famous to provide shell access to the system. You would have you would have already installed the virtual machine. You would know the IP address of the virtual machine, and you can log into the Linux system either from Putty or from any other application of your choice. So here we're going to use the Mobaterm application here, and you can log into the system. And during the installation of the operating system, you would have definitely given a username and password, and that's the username and password you're going to use in order to log in for the first time. And once you log in for the first time, you will be in the prompt, in the Linux prompt, and you would need to create the super user for the first time. So run this command sudo -i PASSWD. This command will help you to set the super user password for the Linux system. And run this, it will ask you for the password for the login user what you would have already logged in. So this is the password for the user what you have logged in. Provide the password. Now it will ask you for creation of a new password for super user. Choose any password of your choice. Re-enter the password. And now the password has been successfully updated for super user. You can log into the super user prompt by running command su, and enter. And you'll be asked for super user password. You can give the password what you just created, and you should be able to log in as a super user. It is extremely important that you note down all the login password and super user password permanently somewhere, because if you lose the password, you cannot log into the system. It will create a big problem because Linux systems always work on login prompts, and it's very important that you store the password safely and securely in some place outside this particular system for using every single time when you want to log into the Enterprise 360 system. So once you're logged in, make sure that you have access to the CLI, and we're going to do some simple checks to understand what are all the minimum requirements to do the installation. The first thing we're going to check is the amount of memory which is available on the system. So you can do this by running this command free -h. This will actually show you how much amount of memory is available on the system. You can take a look at here. It contains approximately around 8 GB worth of memory, right? So although we recommend 16 GB for the system, the minimum requirement is 8 GB. You should have at least 16 GB for running proof of concept and trial version of Enterprise 360. So make sure that you have a minimum of 8 GB or more, and recommended is 16 GB of RAM on the virtual machine. And if you do not have 8 GB worth of memory, the installation will fail. So 8 GB is the minimum requirement, and 16 GB is the mandatory requirement for proof of concepts and trial versions. Yeah. So make sure you have enough memory allocated to the virtual machine. The next thing we're going to check is how many number of CPUs are available for this virtual machine. In order to do that, you can run this command cat/proc CPU info, right? CAT space /proc/CPU info. And this command is going to show you how many number of CPUs are available for this virtual machine. And you can see there is processor 0 and processor 1. The processor number starts with 0. So you can see that this virtual machine has two processors, right? Two processors has been allocated to this virtual machine. So in order to do Enterprise 360 installation, you need a minimum of 2 CPUs. So we recommend a minimum of 2 CPUs for the system. You can go up to even 4 CPUs. If you have space and more CPUs available, you can also give 4 CPUs and 16 GB RAM for the system for recommended specifications. All right, the next thing we're going to check about is how much amount of disk space is available on this virtual machine. For that, you can run the command df space minus -ah. Now, this is going to let you know how much amount of disk space is available on this particular system. And very much important is to know about the root partition, which is slash. And you need at least 10 GB plus worth of available hard disk on the system to install Enterprise 360 and its components. We recommend at least 200 GB hard drive for the virtual system for running proper trials and proof of concepts. And once you have installed the operating system will automatically allocate hard disk space for various kinds of partitions. Make sure that you have given at least 200 plus GB for the entire virtual machine, and you have decent amount of space on the root partition, right? Minimum of 10 GB plus on the root partition. Yeah. And the next thing to check is what is the time on the system. For that, you can run the command date. This will actually show you what is the time and what is the time zone on which the machine is running. It is always recommended that you set the proper time and the proper time zone for the machine. And in order to, you can see here, this machine is running in UTC time zone. By default, when you install the operating system, the system will be running in UTC time zone, and you have to set the time zone properly. You can do so by running the command time date CTL set -time zone, right? You can run this command to set the time zone. And in order to look at what are all the options for you to set the time zone, you can also run the command list time zones, right? So if you run this command, as you can see here, time date CTL space list -time zones, it will show you various kinds of options for time zones, and you can choose any time zone of your choice, right? According to the location where you're actually installing. Yeah. So right now I'm going to set the time zone to EST time zone in the US. So I'm going to choose America/New York. Yeah. So this is the time zone which I'm going to set. So you can remove this list time zones and use the command set time zone, set-time zone, right? So time date CTL space set-time zone space the actual time zone, right? So we're going to set it to America, New York, which is the EST time zone, right? It's already in that time zone, so it's okay. Let's see. All right. So I think we have missed one capital letter here. All right. So that's the way you have to give the exact string what you see in the listed time zones, right? Make sure that you're using the exact. You can copy that and you can paste it. How do you copy and paste? In any Linux operating system, you can copy and paste by selection of the text, and you can actually right click on the screen. It will copy and it will paste. Yeah. So this is the way you actually set the actual time zone. Once you have set the time zone, again run the date command. You can now see the time zone is in Eastern time, and make sure that the time is accurate and it's according to the system time and the local time zone. Yeah. So once you have done that, we proceed to the next step. And the next step is to check what is the right host name you want to set for this virtual machine, right? So you can actually run the command host name CTL, right? This is a command which you will actually run to set a proper host name to this machine. So you can say set host name, any host name of your choice for this machine, like E360 or whatever, test E360 or whatever you want to set, right? Give the string, it will actually set the actual host name. Remember that as soon as you set the host name, you don't see the host name here directly reflecting unless you log out or reboot the system and log in again. You don't see the host name, but the host name will be taken into consideration. Let's say I would like to set the host name into this, something like this, test-E360. And once you have run this command, you can check host name CTL, run the command again. It will show you the actual host name what you have actually set, right? and this will be the host name, which will be permanent after you again exit out and log in again. This will be the host name for this machine, right? One another major important step to check is to check the operating system version. How do you check the operating system version? So run the command cat etc os-release, right? So this, if you run this command cat a space /etc/os-release, it will show you what is the operating system which is running. Ubuntu 22.04.4 in this case. You might have Ubuntu 22.04.3 also, or anything which is 22.04 version is fine. So as long as you have Ubuntu 22.04 or any of the subversions, it should be fine. You cannot run Enterprise 360 on Ubuntu 24.04 or any other operating system unless advised. So the choice of operating system is going to be Ubuntu 22.04 operating system. Also, the Ubuntu 22.04 operating system comes in various flavors. It comes in server class operating system as well as desktop class operating system. To check whether you have installed the server OS or the desktop OS, you can run one another command, and that's called cat space EAR/log/installer info, yeah, media info, right? So this is the command which you will run, cat/var/log installer/media-info, right? If you run this command, it will show you have the Ubuntu server operating system, not the desktop operating system. So make sure you have the Ubuntu server operating system, but not the desktop operating system, right? Again, you can download this operating system and from the link which we have shared you earlier. You can see in this presentation, in the slide itself, we have the operating system download link. You can copy this link and you can download the OS ISO. Yep. All right, let's get back to the installation. Now, once you're done with all these checks, you're ready to do the installation. Make sure that you also have internet connectivity. How do you check whether you have internet connectivity? You can ping anything in the internet, www.yahoo.com, right? You can see it now, it is reaching yahoo.com over internet, which means that internet connectivity is fine, right? One another important thing to check is the IP address of this machine. You can run the command ipconfig. You can run the command ifconfig. And when you run for the first time ifconfig, it will tell you that you don't have the net-tools, and you can actually install the net-tools by running this command apt install net-tools, right? If you run this, it will install all the network related tools on the operating system, and thereafter you should be able to run the ifconfig command, right? Ifconfig command will show you the IP address of the Ethernet interfaces of this Ubuntu operating system machine. Yeah. So you can run this. If you do not have ifconfig, you can also run IP space A. It will also tell you the same information, but in a different format. So either you can run ifconfig or you can run IP space A, and it will show you the IP address of the virtual machine. Yeah. All right. So let's move forward. Also, you need to check whether you have the proper DNS connectivity or the DNS server properly configured. For that, you can actually go into edit a file called as vi etc resolve.conf. So this is the file which you have to edit. And in the Linux operating system, the editor is called as vi editor. So you can run this command vi space etc resolve.conf, and it will edit this file. And in this, you can now see that the name server is the local loopback address. You can set the proper DNS server IP address here. For example, we are setting the Google DNS as an example here, right? So set the right this one. In order to edit this file, you have to press the insert command. It will go into the edit mode, and you can edit whatever you want. So just replace the IP address with the proper DNS server IP address, and you can save this file. In order to save this file, press the escape command and hold the shift button and press the colon. So again, I'll repeat. You have to press the escape command, hold the shift key, and press the colon key, right? So in the keyboard, so that will get you to this prompt. as you can see here. And in this prompt, you can actually type WQ and exclamatory mark, which means that save the file with the changes what we have done and quit the file and come out to the prompt. That's what WQ exclamatory mark means. Yeah. So run this command and then you can come out of this file, right? So this is the way you actually set the DNS configuration on the Linux system. Now, once you're done, you're ready to do the installation. In the home directory, make one directory of your choice. Let's say I would like to make one directory called E360, right? So you can make the directory by running the command mkdir is the command to make a directory, and the directory name, whatever you prefer to choose. Go inside the directory by running the command cd space E360. CD is for changing the directory to the E360, which is the subdirectory under the current directory. So go inside this, and now you have to download the shell script which is required for doing the installation, right? How do we download? So you'll get the link from our channel partners or via our website or by our technical people. You can download, you can copy that URL and you have to now use that particular URL to download the shell script, right? So as I mentioned, the URL looks something like this, right? So copy the URL from your Windows machine, right? Wherever it is in email or in Notepad, wherever it is, copy the shell script path, right? And come back to your command prompt, right? And you can now execute this one. Let me expand the screen. All right. So now we are ready to start the installation. All right. So the command to download the shell script is going to be wget. Run the command wget. It's going to download directly the shell script from the link, right? So copy the link right here, copy, and you can right click and you can paste. Or if you're using Putty, you can just right click, it will paste. All right. So once you do this, it will download the shell script. As you can see, it has directly downloaded the shell script. Right. Now, if you do ls, it will list the file name. You can see the file name which has got downloaded. This is the shell script. And you have to make this shell script and change the permission of this shell script to executable. How do you do that? Run the command chmod 777 and the file name, right? Just press the file name, and you can also autocomplete by using the tab option in the keyboard. So this is the file name. If you run this command, it will make this shell script executable, right? And if you run the command again, ls, you can now see that this file has become executable and it has changed from white to green background. Yeah. All right. So now you will the shell script has already built-in knowledge about which build of Enterprise 360 to download and everything. It's already pre-configured and everything. All you need to do is to just to call the shell script, and it also contains the paths to the license to download the right license for your Enterprise 360, whether it's a trial license or whether it's a limited time period license, the different packages. So everything will automatically start once you run the shell script. So how do you run the shell script? Just run dot slash the file name. This is the way you actually start the installation shell script. So this is an all-in-one installation, which means that this shell script will automatically download Enterprise 360 and its components, InfraSense and its components, NetSense and its components, and it's going to install all the solution components in this single virtual machine. Yeah. So let's start. All right. So now you can see that it has started installing Enterprise 360. First thing it's going to do is to download the package of the Enterprise 360 from the internet. And depending on your speed of your internet connection, this might take a little bit time. So it might take a few seconds to a few minutes, depending on your internet connection. So it's going to attempt to download Enterprise 360 and its solution components from the repo servers which are built into the shell script. So give it some time for the download to finish, and it will automatically complete, the download, and it will proceed to the next steps on its own. So the different components of Enterprise 360, the automated installer will download all of them on its own. You don't need to worry about anything. It will automatically download whatever is actually needed, and it will begin the installation. So as you can see, the license has been downloaded, and you can also see the main binary for Enterprise 360 installation has been downloaded. The license key, whatever has been provided to you in the shell script, has been automatically downloaded. The dependent libraries have been downloaded, and it will continue to progress on its own. So now it will attempt to extract all the packages, whatever it has downloaded, and it will begin the installation. So the first question it's going to ask you is, would you like to install Enterprise 360? And you want to say yes. So type yes and press enter to continue. So the next question it's going to ask you is, would you like to do an automatic installation or would you want to do advanced installation? The difference between automatic installation and advanced installation is automatic installation has very less number of questions, and it is very easy to install everything. It will ask you the minimum questions, and it will help you to install pretty quick and fast. Advanced installation provides you a lot more options to install Enterprise 360 with different kinds of parameters. It's only for advanced users or solution implementers of Enterprise 360. If you're running a POC kind of an environment, or if you're actually doing a trial of Enterprise 360, the option is going to be automatic by choice. So choose option number one, which is automatic, and continue. So now it's going to ask you to accept the EULA, press the space bar, and take a look at the EULA and understand the EULA, and continue to read the EULA. Keep pressing the space bar. And once you have read the EULA, you can accept the EULA by pressing A, which is for agree for the EULA. So press type A and continue, press enter and continue. So now it's going to install all the solution components on its own. You have to just wait for it to do its package installations. It's going to take some few minutes for it to install all the packages and everything. Wait for it to complete its process. It's gonna create the database. It's gonna create all the required tables and structures, and install all the components of Enterprise 360. It will attempt to start the database services and everything in the background. All the service components after installation, all the services also will automatically start in the background. It is now applying the license, and you can see the licensing information on the screen. What is your trial license, expiry date, and everything it will show you. All right, now the process of installing Enterprise 360 is completed. Now it is proceeding towards the next step, is to install the sensors. And the first sensor it's going to install is the InfraSense sensor. And it's asking you a question, would you like to continue with InfraSense installation? You can choose Y, and you can continue because we are doing an all-in-one installation on the same system. It will now download the relevant packages which are needed for the InfraSense sensor, and it will again ask you for the ULA. You can press the space bar and you can continue and accept the ULA. Type A and press enter to accept the ULA and continue. It will install InfraSense, and it will also automatically register it as an application service on the system. And now the installation of InfraSense is almost complete, and it has also started the InfraSense application services in the background. Now it's going to continue to the NetSense installation, which is the second sensor, which is for network monitoring and cyber threat monitoring sensor. So you can choose yes, and you can actually continue for installing the NetSense also on the same system. It will now download the NetSense relevant packages and libraries. Again, it will ask you for the ULA for NetSense. Press the space bar, continue to accept the ULA, type A and continue to accept the ULA. Wait for the NetSense installation to complete. Now you can actually notice that all the installation is now completed. Enterprise 360, InfraSense, and NetSense, everything is completed. So this is the procedure for installing all-in-one installation of Enterprise 360, which is Enterprise 360 and its solution components all in one single virtual machine. So this is predominantly used for proof of concept of Enterprise 360 in various environments, as well as for trial purposes. So we recommend you to use the automated installation option for all-in-one installation. Yeah. So now you can actually access Enterprise 360, and over the network, you can run again the ifconfig command. As you can see here, the IP address of this virtual machine is 1.247. You can open up the browser and you can actually launch the browser with that IP address, HTTPS, the IP address of the system. Right? This is the way you access Enterprise 360 web services. When you try to launch for the first time, it will ask you for the self-signed certificate. Enterprise 360 comes with self-signed certificate. You can also install a proper certificate for Enterprise 360 later. For now, we're going to accept the self-signed certificate and we're going to continue. So proceed to the IP address and say continue. So it will, for the first time when you are launching Enterprise 360, it might take you a little bit of more time because it will download all the UI components to the browser. So once you are in the login prompt, you can log in using the default username and password, which is admin and admin. And you can later change this password of administrators. As you can see, when you try to log in, it will ask you to change the password. If you wish to change the password, you could change the password. Or if you want to skip, you can actually skip as well. Yeah, the default password is admin and the password is admin. So right now, we're not going to change the password. We're going to skip the password change and continue. So once you say skip, you will come to the login page of Enterprise 360. Now all your installation is all completed. You can now access Enterprise 360. Let's check some basic minimum things before we proceed for next steps. The first thing you want to check is the sensor management option on the left-hand side, which is in the configuration area, to check whether the sensors are up and running and they are properly registered with the Enterprise 360. Click on sensor management, and you should be able to see two types of sensors. One is called as SNMP, another is called as log. The SNMP is for the NetSense for SNMP, and the log is for the Infrasense sensor. Right? Both are running on the same IP address. So you should see these two entries, which means that the sensors are properly registered with Enterprise 360, and you're ready to provision devices for monitoring in Enterprise 360. And this concludes the session for installing Enterprise 360 all-in-one installation along with NetSense and Infrasense. In the next subsequent training sessions, we're going to help you understand how to onboard devices post-installation. How do you set up devices for monitoring in Enterprise 360 in the next session. Until then, thank you for your time and see you in the next session.